Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to demystify Meta's groundbreaking Tribe V2 foundation model. We're going to dive into exactly how it unifies the incredibly fragmented world of cognitive neuroscience. Honestly, if you've ever wondered just how close artificial intelligence is to truly understanding the human mind, well, you are in the exact right place.
But before we map out our journey, let's kick things off with a massive question. Can an AI accurately predict exactly what your brain will do next when you watch a movie, read a book, or even listen to an explainer just like this one? Now, historically, the answer was a pretty resounding no. But thanks to some recent massive breakthroughs from Meta's fundamental AI research team, or FAIR, that answer is rapidly changing.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. Building a digital brain twin. 2. The massive scale-up. 3. How the pipeline works. 4. Fusing senses and time. And finally, 5. Testing the digital brain.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1, building a digital brain twin, moving beyond isolated experiments. You see, for decades, neuroscience was highly siloed. If a lab studied how you recognized faces, that data couldn't easily be cross-referenced with another lab studying how you process language. To solve this historical fragmentation, Meta's FAR team created what they call an in-silico digital twin. Basically, think of this as a predictive computational model that acts as a virtual counterpart to actual human neural activity. By treating the way our brain encodes information as a high-dimensional regression task, this AI can simulate high-resolution fMRI responses to real-world audio, video, and text. It's essentially a universal testing ground built right inside a computer. Moving right along to section 2, the massive scale-up from V1 to foundation model. We aren't just looking at some incremental software update here. This is a fundamental paradigm shift. We're moving from a highly constrained lab environment straight into the real world. Tribe 1 relied on a super narrow sample of just 4 subjects looking at minor lab recordings, and it was pretty much exclusively focused on vision. Tribe V2, it utilizes a massive cohort of over 700 healthy volunteers experiencing over 1,000 hours of naturalistic stimuli. I mean, they were just watching movies, listening to podcasts, and reading text. Plus, V2 achieves zero-shot generalization, which means it can accurately predict brain activity for completely new people and tasks it has literally never seen before. And the sheer scale here is absolutely staggering. We jump from predicting 1,000 cortical areas in version 1 to a massive 70,000 voxel predictions in version 2. Now, a voxel is essentially a 3D pixel of your brain. By tracking 70,000 of them, Tribe V2 is mapping the human brain with unprecedented density, successfully capturing the complex, overlapping dynamics of how we actually perceive the real world. That brings us to section 3, how the pipeline works, the journey of a signal. So, how does the AI actually process all this real-world data? It relies on a beautifully elegant 3-stage pipeline. First, it extracts specific features from the sensory inputs using frozen foundation models. Second, it fuses those different senses together across time. And third, it projects those fused representations directly onto a map of a virtual cortex. Let's break that down. In stage 1, instead of starting from scratch and trying to teach the AI what a word or a sound even is, Tribe V2 uses state-of-the-art frozen extractors. We're talking Llama for language, WaveDivec for audio, and VJPad2 for video. Because these models are already experts at understanding the world, they pass that robust knowledge straight into the brain twin. And this is super cool. To make the AI incredibly resilient, the system uses a training strategy called modality dropout. Basically, inputs are independently zeroed out with a probability of 0.3. Imagine you're watching a really intense movie and suddenly you close your eyes or you plug your ears. Your brain still processes the context from the remaining senses, right? By randomly dropping modalities, the AI is literally forced to learn those deep, cross-modal dependencies. All right, section 4, fusing senses and time, bridging the temporal gap. See, our brains don't process sensory input instantaneously, and neither should the digital twin. Once the text, audio, and video are extracted, an integration transformer weaves all these features together over a massive 100-second temporal window. This gives the model vital historical context. I mean, think about it. Your reaction to a jump scare in a horror movie relies completely on the suspense built up over the preceding minute. And that 100-second window is biologically necessary, because MRI machines don't measure instant electrical sparks. They measure blood oxygen levels, the bold signal. And blood flow is relatively slow.
It's exactly like seeing lightning before you hear the thunder. Your brain's blood oxygen peak lags about 5 seconds behind the actual neural activity. The AI has to mathematically model that unfolding temporal lag to be truly accurate. Finally, in stage 3, these fused, time-aware sequences are mapped out to actual brain coordinates. And because the AI processes information way faster than an fMRI can scan the brain, the data is decelerated or decimated using adaptive average pooling. This matches it to the standard 1 Hz sampling rate of a real-world fMRI machine.
Now, here's what I find absolutely fascinating. While Tribe V2 can predict a universal human brain response, it can also get incredibly personal. It relies on a framework called SU-LoRa, the subject-specific low-rank adapter. This splits the AI's predictions into 2 distinct parts: a shared general weight for how humans typically respond, and a personal correction weight that adapts precisely to the unique anatomical quirks of your specific brain. Which leads us to Section 5, testing the digital brain, validating biological fidelity.
So, how do we know this complex mathematical pipeline actually mirrors biological reality? Well, rigorous validation shows the AI's predictions perfectly match decades of human cognitive research. Without being explicitly told where these functions live, the model automatically routed visual data right to the occipital cortex, auditory stimuli to the temporal cortex, and complex conceptual meaning to the temporal parietal junction. It essentially rediscovered human brain anatomy completely on its own.
And researchers took this a whole step further using in-silico feature visualization. Basically, by running the mathematical model in reverse, using a trick called gradient ascent, they can synthesize the exact visual inputs the AI thinks a specific brain region desperately wants to see to reach maximum activation. This beautifully confirms its biological fidelity. When they probe early visual areas like V1 and V2, the digital model synthesizes simple, localized edges. When they move up the cognitive hierarchy to V4, it generates complex geometric patterns. And when they look at higher-level areas like the FFA and PPA, the AI triggers on holistic human faces and sweeping landscapes. It is a perfect capture of our visual processing hierarchy. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought. We now possess a digital twin that precisely predicts how the human brain processes reality, bridging sight, sound, and language. So what incredible, or maybe concerning implications does this hold for the future? How will applied neuromarketing change when advertisers can test content on a digital brain before it ever reaches a real human? And how is this going to accelerate the development of brain-computer interfaces? The frontier of the mind has officially been digitized, and the next steps are going to be absolutely fascinating to watch.